Let's talk about the NBA. Obviously, the biggest story right now is probably going to be what's going on with Kevin Durant. But before we talk about that, I want to get your opinion on Kyrie possibly coming to the Lakers. Do you think that's a thing? Do you think that's actually going to actually happen? If not, where do you think it's going to go?
Well, if you let the talking heads sell it, the Lakers are the only team that's interested because who the hell wants 27 points per game? Who the hell wants that? And the best handle the game has seen, maybe ever, maybe. I have a suspicion that the Lakers are in the best position because Kyrie has been very vocal since asking out that, that's where he wanted to go. I think he had a short list for a time. And then something in between him initially, picking up his option and where we're at now, something shifted that made him focus towards the Lakers. We can speculate. Probably a conversation was had with LeBron. Hey, I know y'all got that knucklehead over there, but I can shoot, so what's up? Yeah, we was talking all this unity shit because we couldn't find where to send that nigga.
A clear upgrade from the monstrosity that was last year. So
yeah, just an overall better fit. A player who LeBron is familiar with, and man, the only other player other than maybe D Wade that I can remember that LeBron would allow to dominate the basketball. Like I don't mean just taking all the shots. I mean like setting up the offense, going ISO, you know what I'm saying, shooting late in the play clock, that kind of stuff. Like there was only two players that I can remember that LeBron has that level of confidence in. 2020 Anthony Davis got close, but then his follow-up season, it wasn't anywhere near that. So I would say probably Kyrie and D Wade have been the only people that can be a co-captain of the offense.
Oh yeah,
co-runner of the offense, as opposed to just being the number two guy. I feel like there's a nuance between that. Jalen Brunson last year was a number two guy.
Yes. Yes.
He was a number two guy. So yeah, he got his buckets, he got it off, but everything still ran through Luka. Luka dominated the ball the majority of the game. Luka is the offense. When LeBron and Kyrie were together, at least when they were at their peak, when they won a championship in 2016, Kyrie had as much of the offensive load as he could handle.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the basketball was ever the problem with them. It was all the off the court stuff and obviously LeBron's influence on what roster moves happen and things of that nature, according to Kyrie. Yeah, I think it's a much better fit, number one. I would say if there's going to be a trade that happens, it's going to be to the Lakers. I don't think, for what they're asking, I don't think the Mavericks have it necessarily. I don't think the Suns want to give up what the Nets are currently asking to get it. The interesting thing is, though, that the thing that's been floating around out there is a package with Kyrie and Kevin Durant maybe going to the same place. Now, I don't think that would happen to the Lakers. There's no way on God's green earth they would ever do anything like that, putting Kevin Durant on a team with LeBron James. Like, if I was Utah before they traded Rudy Gobert,
which is another strange move.
Yeah, well, just because of who he went to, I think they're trying to clear space and figure out what they're doing for the future. But Agreed. if I could have put Rudy and Donovan Mitchell together to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie, so obviously something else got to go in there. But Rudy and Donovan are the framework, and then we'll piece together draft picks. Maybe that looks a lot more attractive to a team like Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn knows that they're lost on both of these guys. But it's incumbent on them for them. Yeah, but it's been incumbent on them to get the best deal because I don't care what anybody says. Boiling this down to Kyrie Irving ruined the Nets franchise. That's a bonehead take to me. It's a very boneheaded take to me because before Kyrie ever set foot in New York as a Brooklyn Net, the Nets, their front office, Sean Marks and all them guys that y'all protecting and saying they were done so wrong by Kyrie Irving, decided to give DeAndre Jordan, yes, that's right, DeAndre Jordan, DeAndre Jordan, who was subsequently let go off the Lakers roster on a veteran minimum contract this year, 4 years, $40 million, $10 million a year for a guy who would never give you more than 10 to 12 minutes a night, even when they were trying to play him. That's their roster moves. Before Kevin Durant and Kyrie ever signed there, no one tells these guys that they have to give up whatever seeming leverage that they have. If it's worth you to avoid a media storm or to, ruffle the feathers of potential free agents than to exercise the contractual leverage that you have, then that's a decision that you make as an organization. I always find it funny how people find a way to excuse or understand certain moves from entities or power structures. But then for individuals, it's very easy to boil it down to black and white. If we're talking about a person, it's very easy for me to come to a conclusion. If we're talking about a company, a team, organization, some sort of business, even a government from time to time, it's like, oh, well, you wouldn't expect them to do this. You wouldn't expect this. You wouldn't expect that. We don't have the same level of understanding for individuals. So, yeah, everything's Kyrie's fault. Bullshit.
You can blame Kyrie as much as you want for the whole not, getting the vaccine and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's not like the Nets didn't make terrible decisions all on their own, such as hiring a first-year coach in Steve Nash.
And then allowing him to put Mike D'Antoni on the staff.
On to another move that originally I didn't like. And I'll tell you why in a second. But Dejounte Murray from the Spurs has been moved over to the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks has sent over quite a few picks to get Dejounte Murray. And then obviously the Hawks get Dejounte Murray as well as Jock Landale, who they've already traded off. I didn't like this trade at first because I just felt like, okay, so Trae is going to play the off guard, I'm assuming, and DeJounte is going to play the point, or how are they going to do that? I guess it really doesn't matter. I guess I like the move now because DeJounte Murray is, a two-way player. He led the league in steals last year, I believe, and so
it should help him having a long-armed, dominant defender, somebody who can take the other team's lead guard, free him up. So he kind of the way that Clay assists Steph in that way, right? He frees up Steph from the other team's dominant ball handler or whoever their main scoring threat is, so that he's able to roam a little bit more on defense, or at least take the less athletic guard on the floor, whoever that is on any given night. But I always found it weird that San Antonio always felt like they were 1 foot in, 1 foot out with Dejounte Murray. Yeah. And it was like there was a time where I felt like he was their next guy.
I did too.
But it always felt like they were ready to trade him for some reason. I didn't get it, like why they are not going with him. But this is Pop's last year, right? So maybe Quinn is thinking in a different direction. I don't know.
I also just didn't like the fact that, like I said, I don't know who's going to play what position because they're both going to be undersized two guards. So
I don't think so. DeJounte Murray's like 6'5", right?
I think he's 6'4".
Even still, that's decent.
I feel like you would give DeJounte Murray the point and then let Trae play off the ball.
Then you have a legitimate problem with every matchup. If Trae's playing the two, every matchup he has, literally almost every night, he'll be undersized. There's one thing where you're playing the point and you may have to switch on to length. It's a whole nother thing when you're playing the two and that position is like a lengthy position. Pause.
I'm just going to be interested to see how it pans out because as of right now, I just don't know what it's really going to look like for them. But I am interested to see their backcourt once they actually get on the court.
You got those two. You still got John Collins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just surprised that they didn't ask for more in terms of like proven youth. They didn't get anything back that I thought they might get back for a guy like DeJounte Murray. But again, that goes back to how much they actually valued him when he was there. It doesn't really seem like they actually put a very high premium on DeJounte Murray. I mean, they got the picks.
They got three first-round picks, and then a pick swap, I believe.
But who's going to help you now? I thought DeJounte Murray is a good enough player to say, hey, we need to at least a step below in value on a player. I don't think player-wise, personnel-wise, they did not get anything back close to DeJounte Murray.
The Pelicans have re-signed Zion, and I'm a little iffy about that one too, because like,
what, 4 years, 195?
I believe so. Something ridiculous for 4 years. And it's just like, so you're all in on Zion to be your guy, despite the fact that he hasn't proven much. Now he has been injured, but
it's more of that's what the market dictates, and if they don't, what are they going to do? Like, what do you do with them if you're not going to sign them? We're already into free agency, so you're kind of dudded out. You kind of had to pay him, and then the number is more so just the market, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. He's off of his rookie deal now. That was fucking quick. That was fast.
It was.
The unfortunate thing is that he hasn't played very much basketball in that time. And so we're buying potential. If I had to buy potential, this wouldn't be a bad stock to buy. But there's a lot to be concerned with here just because, I mean, the guy wasn't even around. He wasn't there, like, for most of the year. Like, he was able to do that a lot quieter than Ben Simmons. That's why I don't have no sympathy for bro, because Zion did the same shit Ben Simmons did, essentially, and just, like, kind of just hung out. We had to remember that Zion was even out.
Yeah.
It's not like we're watching all that much Pelicans basketball anyway, so, like, the few times that they do pop up nationally and you don't see Zion, you be, oh, shit, yeah, he's not playing, is he? Ben Simmons, and you know Ben Simmons ain't played in 998 days, 30 minutes, 25 seconds.
Facts. So I don't like the signing for Zion because we just don't really know, potential-wise where he's going to go. But you got another guy who just recently re-signed that we know what the potential is with him, but the front office is a little shaky on providing around him, and that's Bradley Beal signing for 5 years, $251 million. Now, that sounds great, but you're signing him again to a team. Again, what are you doing? What's the Wizards doing for him?
Nothing. I think he just legitimately likes Washington. Like, that is the only thing that I can come up with, is that he's comfortable with hooping, being the alpha dog in Washington. If they can get something together to get him there, great. If not, I'll keep dominating and rising up on the charts, the point charts.
Yeah. I just don't get it. Like, the only more confusing signing to me was the Jalen Brunson situation, but then I saw that and I'm just like why?
So, I mean, the only other thing I can say about that is that NBA contracts don't mean much nowadays.
It's true.
They just don't. Guys are again, Kevin Durant just signed a 4-year extension with the Nets this year. I do not understand why public embarrassment means that much to these NBA franchises, that they are giving up contractual leverage. Like, they have legal leverage. Damn what they say on Twitter. You can stay here for the next 4 years and kiss my ass if that's what I chose to make you do. Like, do you think Kevin Durant is going to go out there and be awful for 4 years? Do you think he's going to sit out and give up game checks like Ben Simmons for 4 years?
Not at this big age.
You had 2 top 15 players on your roster, and you never even made it to the conference finals. So that alone in itself is a failure, right? And it's become part of the Nets' long history of failed super teams, dating back to trying to poach the Boston Big Three, or Big Two, because Ray Allen's.
Yeah.
This has been a thing for Brooklyn. I feel like Bradley, obviously he can get out of that contract whenever he wants to.
Yes.
Because the way of the world right now is, oh, I don't want to be here. All right, well, we don't want to seem like we're trying to hold you against your will or anything like that. So,
and you can do that at any point for any reason. The precedent is already set.
No one said that y'all have to go along. That's why, like, oh, what does this mean for the league? What does this mean? This is crazy. The inmates are running the asylum. I mean, the players are running the league. All
right, last segment. You already kind of started talking about it. Kevin Durant has requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. Whether it's because of Kyrie, who gives a shit? Do you think that trade will be made soon? because I don't necessarily think the Nets have to do this immediately. But he's mentioned Miami Heat, Phoenix Suns. Do you think he'll go to either one of those teams?
Kyrie got to be gone first, because the Sham and Woj are reporting that if they get a decent haul back for Kyrie Irving, then they might try to reapproach Kevin Durant maybe about staying. Okay, so that tells me one domino has to fall before the other. Kevin Durant is a much different situation because teams should be willing to give the house for Kevin Durant, but it seems like the two teams he wants to go to don't want to give up what it is that Brooklyn wants. Now imagine that. They want something back in particular for Kevin Durant. Those teams are playing hardball, and I don't see anybody criticizing them. Ain't nobody criticizing the Phoenix Suns for not including Devin Booker. Ain't nobody criticizing the Heat for not including Bam Adebayo.
I'll be honest, I don't think the Suns have to get rid of Devin Booker. But it'll be a little bit tougher, but I don't think they have to get rid of him.
If I'm going to send him to the Suns, which is where I think he actually wants to go, I am pushing as hard as I can to try to get Devin Booker. Because they come out, I feel like, at least net neutral.
Yes.
To what they looked like last season. Like, you can say whatever you want, having KD and Harden and Kyrie, but those guys never coalesced, and it never worked, and they were about as good as a first round out playoff team. Devin Booker, some other young pieces that you acquire in the trades between Kyrie and KD. Ben Simmons is still there, so if he could pull his head out of his ass. Plus the next couple of years of draft picks that you'll have. Next couple of years, you could have a legitimate title contender. But if you do this thing where you only take draft picks and draft bait type players, well, now you're hitching yourself to another 10-year plan to try to get the title status. You're going to have to unload all the unwanted contracts. You're going to have to get attractive pieces to either lure free agents and or be trade bait to get big name players. It starts the cycle all over again.
First of all, I don't believe that Phoenix Suns draft picks mean much, considering they're already a deep in the playoff team.
You got to think, you're not thinking about what they are now when you're buying future picks. You're trying to project what they will be. If Devin Booker leaves, you'll have a what is Chris Paul, 38?
Yeah.
You'll have a 36-year-old Kevin Durant. So what are those picks going to look like 4 or 5 years down the line when we're actually cashing them in? Right now, yeah, they look great, but eventually those guys are either going to retire or get traded or something or the other. What does the transition look like? That is always.
But then you're banking on what if.
So
I guess you're always doing that with draft picks, but.
Yeah, I would say, so if we were talking about younger players like Tatum and Brown, well, yeah, no, you can't outweight those guys. Those guys are going to have another decade in this league before you even start talking about them slowing down.
Yeah.
I'm saying two superstars with deep injury histories on both sides, getting into the twilight years of their career, an Achilles tear.
I was going to say the injuries.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm buying a pick for 2027 or 2029. What the hell is Chris Paul going to be looking like at 2027 if he's even still playing basketball?
Now, the other thing is the Nets are in Brooklyn. They're in a big market, so they don't have to think the same way as some of these other teams as far as, getting these draft picks, hoarding them so that they can, do what Boston did, do what Golden State did. They have the leverage to bring in free agents at any point. So it's a little bit of a different game for them, I think.
It depends on how they play this thing out, because I think that's what their biggest concern is how other potential free agents now view the Nets, and how they handle this situation is going to dictate a lot for them in terms of getting future free agents. So if this goes well, if Kyrie goes where he wants, KD goes where he wants, and the Nets get a good haul back, well then all is well. Then yeah, they still have good standing, I feel like, with free agents. If it gets ugly, if Kyrie doesn't go to the Lakers, but then ends up there in free agency anyways, and then Kevin Durant sticks around longer than he actually wanted to and ends up not going to any of the teams he picked. Like that's the type of nightmare scenario that could land them looking not great for the next, top 10 player that's available on the market to sign. We'll have to see what happens with the rest of this, man. I do expect Kyrie to be moved before the season starts. The fact that they're even entertaining the trade request lets me know that they're cat about all of this. So they're gonna buckle and they're just posturing and trying to get the best deal that they can, which I understand. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out, keep a lookout. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We'll have a playlist for you for more NBA takes here somewhere around here. And make sure you come back every day. New episode, new segment, 10 a.m. Fuck with us.
Absolutely. And make sure, like he said, check out that playlist. We have a playlist for all of our NBA clips. And make sure you subscribe. We like to talk about the NBA quite a bit, so make sure you check us out for more.